Okay, I'm going to run through Blueprint lead routing setup. Obviously, you would have to go to your site in Blueprint. So to set it up, first you would go to the page that has the form on it that you want to set up lead routing for. In this case, I think this should be a good example of, just using the finance app as an example. So once the page loads, you want to find the blue bar, and you would go to the settings for the form, edit settings. A lot of times, probably, if it's not set up, the form would be cloned. So you want to make sure that the form type is right. If it's cloned, that it's switched to the correct name of the form that you're on. The delivery tabs here are where the lead routing is set up for HTML. Usually you will see HTML and XML leads. And then, I'm not going to go over this, but a lot of times, if, like I said, if it's cloned, these are going to have to make sure these are filled out properly, that the subject here is the right form name. And then here, like I said, it could be blank, or it could be a situation where you have to switch it, rename it to the correct name from a clone form. HTML, you don't need an email body. And then these emails would be blank. So how it would be set up is using custom fields. So if we were to create this, you can name it sales. This is my example here of, this is already in here, but you'd have to create it. So then you create a custom field and then label it sales, new leads, or new, basically whatever you want, just to use across the board on all the forms. And also, you just have to remember that for when we go in the settings later. Delivery 2 is your XML. Usually this will fill in, depending on what kind of format you pick. Same thing here, this one's marked XML, so we know that we're going to use this across the board when we go into settings for our XML leads. And then you would save those changes. The next step would be to save it, and then obviously you would save your page and publish it. Next step would be to go to the settings, and then of course you go to your custom fields. Then you can see here that here's one we created. You can add, and you can see here other real examples, but if it was new, you could add your email address here. You can add more than one. Usually the XML lead is just one for the dealership CRM, and then for HTML leads, you can put in multiple email addresses if you want separated by a comma. Then that custom field can be used on any forms of the site. So I mean, if the dealership wants to separate it by new and used inventory, or service leads. But then whatever custom fields you have can be used on the proper forms across the site. And now when updates need to be made, once that's set up, you just have to come into the custom fields in the settings to make the necessary updates. I'm also going to show you how to set up lead routing on smart sites. So let's go to that example here. Let's just try and go to the Finance app again. I think it's this one. Okay, so once again, the form would either have to be built or cloned, and then a lot of the basic information would have to be correct. But what's different on smart sites is that you're going to want to make sure you have a block like this down here at the bottom set up, and then there's one for HTML and one for XML you can see, and then this will be used later, but so we have these labeled as finance. And then we'll notice that if you go in the form settings here as well, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong one. So here, you'll notice that we're using an emails from field, those same fields, dealer HTML, and those are for HTML leads. And then here, this is our XML leads. But here we're populating dealer XML. Once that's set up, then instead of going to settings, we go to the main menu and we want dealers. Then you click on your dealership and you'd come into the contacts. And then you have your email addresses will be added here. And once again, this is a centralized location where all your email address can be added or updated. So then you have the HTML line, you have the XML line, and similar to what I said before about HTML leads and XML leads, a lot of times the multiple email addresses that are going right to person at the dealership are the HTML leads. Same thing, they can be separated with a comma, and then you have to find, so that one the finance app was set up for finance, and then their HTML leads would be going here, and their XML leads would be going here. Of course, the last step, same as any other changes or updates, or anything that you create, you can go through and publish the site to QA, and then you publish the site to production.